Welcome one and all to the very first one of the NBA season. And to kick off the first show of the in-season NBA season, I'm going to bring in a very special guest who was on the live show with me for my last draft with NBA Fantasy Bible here on Old Man Squad. His name is Nate. You can see him below as Nicky's Falcon. He is my longest and dearest friend. Over 30 years, who was absolutely crushed in the comments by some of his picks, including one VJ Edgecombe. Now, say what you will about some of the rest of those picks, and we'll get to the Ace Bailey one maybe later in the show, may have been egregiously too high, but I tell you now, VJ cooked this week. He proved a lot of people wrong back in the comments. It was good to see. We're going to see him right after this. We're going to talk about 30 players, plus there's probably going to be like 40 in the NBA who've caught our eye in these first. G'day, mate. How you doing?
Hey, Matty. Thanks for that aspiring introduction with all the hate.
It got called a taco league at one point. And I'm like, yeah, it's a taco league. It's a friends league. It's like, this is not the league that we go in for. It's a cash league. There's like NBA analysts. There's yourself who just loves basketball and the Phoenix Suns with a passion. Mm-hmm. And your mate Heath, who, let's just call it this way, has no idea what he's doing, but just wanted to give it a good hot crack.
Look, in his defense, he's always been an NBA fan, and God bless him, he's a Spurs fan. But he just in recent years hasn't really dived into the NBA like you and I both do. So we invited him in to fill a spot in this league, and you know what, he wanted to because Supercoach has gone to crap. So he's always done NBL on Supercoach, and he's done nothing but bitch about that for the start of the season. So I said, dude, get in a real fantasy league then. Come in.
Yeah, he didn't even want to mix with the NBA Supercoach. He's like, I just want to play fantasy. So this is his way of learning. And it's not a taco league. It's a real friends league. And it's competitive as heck. The waiver wire is so deep. And some of these guys that we're going to talk about in today's show have already been across it. We'll get to some of our hot picks early on. But one guy I said to you,
before you go on, Matty, come on. You were like, let's address the taco comment in the room, all right? Mm-hmm. You and I both play 4 or 5 plus leagues. This is not just the one league that we drafted in. We play across
7, 8, 9. So there's a lot of leagues.
Yeah, exactly. So you can play a couple of strategies when you're playing fantasy. Do you want to try and draft the same players in every single league? If you're playing points versus cats, you're playing a cash versus social, or do you want to try and mix it up, have different players on each roster, but going with a kind of similar strategy? Or do you just want to go balls up and have a different strategy for every league? So when people say that this was a taco league based on what I've selected, no, I'm playing 5 leagues. And when I'm drafting, I fill out positionally first. Like I want to fill out my positions so I've got the highest amount of rotation each day for positions. But sometimes you swing for the fences, and sometimes you finish shit in a league, and next year you just go, you know what, I need to swing for something, and if it works, and look, in this league before, I have won the whole thing before. I think it was 2002, wasn't it, or just before that? Because it paid for my ticket.
2022.
I used the money just after the borders opened up to go to America, to go to Phoenix. So there's different approaches you can take, and you have to think, hey, when you're looking at the way we drafted, this isn't the only league we're drafting in. We're drafting in 4, 5, or 6 or more.
And this is what I like. A couple of the guys, I actually didn't recognize that you have Vucevic, who's going to come up in the show later on, in your team. But you've got guys like Jalen Brunson. His field goal percentage, again, as we said, can hurt you. Guys can hurt you there, but you've got guys that you wanted to get in your team. You've got Mikal Bridges, who's an OG Suns guy for you. You've got Cooper Flagg. You've got Anthony Edwards there. You've got guys like Dylan Harper, who you might use and then drop off when, De'Aaron Fox is back in. But you've also got guys like Chet Holmgren here, Buzelis, and Edgecombe, guys that we loved and that we were high on. So you've mixed up the quote-unquote taco league guys with guys who there was a lot of upside, and you might have taken them early, but it also might have been some of the picks that might come in and save your season come the end, mate.
Look, how long have we been doing this league for? You said like a decade, right?
This is like 15 years old.
This particularly, the Ballers League we're talking about, it's been going on for that long, and players go early. I mean, it's not estranged in this league to see a player go 2 rounds ahead because people don't want to miss him. So that's you got to look at that as a not so much of a bias, but it's a part of our league. We know what's going to happen. So if we really want particular people in our roster, if we really I wanted rookies. I want to swing with rookies. I want to swing with youth because last year I got butchered by injuries. So this season I was just I have to avoid the highest risk for me to repeat last season with the injuries. So the best way to do that, go with youth. So that was definitely a direction. So if players are going to go 2 rounds early, then that's the league we were drafting in, and that's what you got to deal with.
That's what you got to deal with, man. Hey, look, tell me about this guy. I asked you for 5 guys to stop the show as well. I said they didn't have to be guys from your own team or that you've drafted. You could own them in any league or just guys that have caught your eye because this show is focused. We're going to go through 5 guys that you like. Then we're going to look at every single team in the NBA and identify some talent that we should keep our eyes on. A couple of buy low early radar guys and also guys that we can bring into our rosters, especially for back-to-back sets in the coming weeks and get down to it. This guy absolutely went thermonuclear today. Nate, he was a big call of mine for late rounds in drafts. I said, why is this guy going undrafted in some leagues? It is Aaron Gordon, who had a blended ADP of 139.3 across ESPN, Fantrax, and Yahoo. He is on the Denver Nuggets. Mate, why has this guy impressed you to start the season so much?
Look, I'll go out there and start by saying the last 2 years I've had Aaron Gordon at least 2 or 3 of my leagues. He always goes late. He's always a starting 5 player. He's always solid in that forward position. It's just like this safe bet for neutral numbers. It didn't fit what I was swinging. I was swinging for the fences this year. Going with youth, I had a particular strategy I wanted to test out this year. It was completely opposite of last year. So I didn't draft him in any of my leagues this year, even though he was there and it was probably a safe bet. I just thought, no, you know what? I've had him too many years in a row. I'm just going to go a different angle. And then today he shows up. And this is actually I watched 4 games in the last 2 days. And this one today was the Denver game was one of them against GWS. And they were talking in the commentary, they were actually talking about what he did with his off season. And he was saying that as far as he was concerned, he's had one of the best off seasons in his career. And apparently he put in a basketball court in his living area. I don't know how that works. I don't know what the American version of a living area is because it's obviously not the same thing as Australia. But this guy obviously put up some shots. So to hit 10 3-pointers in an opening game for Aaron Gordon, of all people, he could always hit a 3, but he was never a high volume. He was never high percentage. It was just something else in the bag. But today he led with it. And geez, 50 points. 58 and 2 and 1 for a game.
Huge, massive line, absolutely massive stat line for the bloke today. And look, game of his career, you would say to start the year.
It is. It's literally his highest scoring game of his career, and by pure stat and the conversation that we're actually having about him on fantasy, career game and how many seasons in. He's been with Denver for 6 years, and this is the best he's performed. Regular season,
and he just
playoffs,
fits in
finals,
there. He just
whatever.
fits in. He fits in. And look, I was on it early this week. I said one of the keys to target for Thursday and Saturday was initially Gordon there. And I said, because he was on wires still. I'm like, why is Aaron Gordon still around? And like you said, he's been there. He's ingratiated himself with Nikola Jokic, effortlessly. He is part of the furniture there. It's really him, Jamal Murray, and Joker. And I've loved seeing him in full action. But Aaron Gordon, absolutely having a career game, has flown off waiver wire since. And I think this is not what he will do all year because he will not be dropping 50 every single game. He will not be leading the league in scoring with SGA. But he will be dependable as houses.
You've got to think too, the league is deep. This season, the league is deep. There are so many players creeping up in the top 100. So many players because of injuries that are getting high burn that are getting drafted earlier. And Aaron's just that guy that's still doing the same thing every year. So you can understand from a point of the fan looking in from fantasy, nothing's really changed from an Aaron point of view, but a lot has changed from a league point of view and who's in it. So you can understand, in theory, why draft value dropped, even though his production has always been just consistent middle of the road. But this game, nobody saw it coming.
No, nobody saw this coming. I think what we need to do with him is obviously bring him in now. And until he becomes more rotational piece, and Cam Johnson had a down game, Christian Brown didn't have a great game overall. It was an overtime game as well, more opportunity. We just ride the Aaron Gordon train and go 2-2. This guy, though,
Oh my God.
Benedict Mathurin, blended ADP just outside of the top 100. He was set and poised for an absolute leap this year. There's needed a lot more offensive burden to be put on his shoulders. And didn't he just show up and show out today in this game, mate?
Oh, I mean, this was one of the guys that I had lined up to look at in every one of my leagues. But when we were talking before, I didn't want to do the same thing in every league. So I looked to get him in 2 out of my 5 leagues. Ballers being one of them, but didn't quite hit there. I only landed him in the Potters League. So you know that we do a Phoenix podcast, Aussie Suns fans, and we have a fantasy league with all the podcasters in Phoenix. So in that league, I actually got Benedict.
Did Devin Booker go number 1? Just asking for a friend.
No. We play keeper league, and I already have Wemby. So, look, but in that league, I don't know if have you ever played Sleeper? It's a completely different format to Yahoo, ESPN, and so forth. And there was no way you couldn't lock him up today. I looked at the Indiana Pacers as okay without the starting point guard there, without the center there. There's a lot of rotation opportunity, and I saw Nembhard and Mathurin as the 2 biggest recipients of uptick this season, getting the 2 biggest opportunities. When Nembhard was listed as out for game 1, then now you've just got Pascal and Mathurin. So it was like a perfect scenario for him to perform. And gee, did he take advantage of it. And in Sleeper League, you've got to pick the game each week that you want to lock in. So I just locked this game in straight away. Brilliant.
This is a guy who has just risen up in the ranks. Although he wasn't the best player on the court for them, I think Ben Shepherd kind of stole the show a little bit, getting the start in the second half. The end of the Pacers, it does show that the breakout potential that he has had this year and has rewarded those people with his basically he's 100% rostered across all leagues. But it's just really good to see that that has been repaid by people who invested that pick, especially if he slid down in your 120s, 130s in drafts and you were sitting around and you were trying to get some more upside or some young blokes early. I did see Mathurin slide into 120s. So it does show. This next one, I liked him early. I picked him up in a couple of leagues. You've got him, I believe, in Ballers. Do you have Vooch? You have big Vooch, don't you?
Yes, I do have Vooch, yes. I've got him in 3 leagues. 3 of my 5 leagues, I've got him.
This is a guy who everyone says is a contract year, is going to be moved off. Until the wheels fall off the Vooch train, we ride the Vooch train. There is no other center in Chicago. I was asking the question.
This is the main thing, right?
This is who else is going to play the center there? Like it's not Sticks. You're good, old mate from Phoenix.
There's no successor. No one's given Sticks fucking shit. We couldn't move off him quick enough. No one is given Sticks starting center obligations. There's no one lined up behind Vooch for the starting center position. To be honest, he's much like Aaron Gordon in the way you look at his consistency and the stats are repeatable because no one's challenging for the position. He did hit that all-star, quality player 1 year, and he's produced, and no one thought he would get better. But I mean, this is why you get a guy like this, because it's just, okay, I know I can count on him for that. And I don't think I even reached for Vooch in our draft. It was just, he was there.
Fell there.
And there you go. And I mean, 28 points, 14 boards, 2 assists, 2 assists, 1 steal, and then 4 threes. I mean, again, this is a game, if you're playing Sleeper, you'd lock it in straight away because not necessarily repeatable, but he's a double-double guy. We know that. He's a 20 and 10 pretty much any time he hits the floor. I mean, he certainly didn't disappoint tonight.
And look, this guy hasn't fallen outside, according to Basketball Monster, the top 50 for the past 4 years, including this year, mind you. Like currently he is the number 8th option after a game, which is rad. But we're looking at a guy last year finished 18th. The year before, his worst season in that Chicago role, playing 34 minutes a night, he averaged 18, 10. The three-point shooting wasn't there that year. It was down to 1.2 threes. The percentages were down a little bit for him there. He was sub 500 from the floor, 484 on the year. Otherwise, he's been plus 500, 520, 530, and a cool shooting night. He's a center who won't block you a lot of shots, but he'll get you rebounds and he'll get you good percentages apart from that 1 year. So he just does Vooch things. And
you think about the kind of team he's on too. Like Chicago has, for years, been on that cusp of the play-in playoffs. So they're never a solid playoff team. They're always someone you can think, okay, it wouldn't shock anyone any year if Chicago make the play-in, and then you count on them losing the first round. I even took them 2 years ago. I picked them as we had on our Suns fans pod. We were talking about who would be your biggest surprise play-in team that could get through the first. And I was like, Chicago.
Chicago.
It's just a team that could get into the first round and then by all means get through. And so
that was the year that DeRozan as well was just going on that incredible Hall of Fame run as well.
I mean, that's why I'm saying I'm not trying to take away from the individual achievement, the fantasy stats we're talking about, but you look at the situation that he's in, and it's this team that can almost always be there. And if the youth or the team around him elevates in the offseason and finds another gear during the regular season, he keeps doing what Vooch does, and the whole team is better. So
agreed. And I think we've still got to see Kobe White come back in, who was an absolutely potent offensive weapon for the Chicago Bulls. So I think their track is up and up. One guy whose track is up and up is this guy. Is this guy? He's not bad at basketball, this bloke. Victor Wembanyama, starting off with a big kabam. This was the show that we were on live, this quote-unquote Taco League, our last after our friends and family. The cover of that show, we did this show here live. Now, I didn't know, and I've traded Steve St. Pierre afterwards. I drafted Tyrese Maxey. I drafted him straight up for Donovan Mitchell because I love Don. I'm a fan of Don. I wanted to have a player that I liked. Might have regretted that immediately after Tyrese Maxey came the other day. Hey, Don had a great one too. But I put in pick 3 because I was picking from pick 3, and I was like SGA all the way. It was the cover of the show. I put it up, and just in the pre-show, where did D-Max say? He's like, I don't know if you're going to get him. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, Wemby's like number 1 or 2. Matty, who we know is Matty Allen, shout out to him. He was either going to take Jokic or Wemby. And then I thought SGA was just naturally going to fall to me at 3. And that was me telegraphing my pick. I had no idea that Steve St. Pierre was so high on SGA, he didn't even think about Wemby at 2. He was like, no. And he goes, I would have taken SGA had I had the first pick as well. That's how high he is on him this season. And he has been phenomenal to start the year. But geez, you've had him as well. Did you not have him last year, Victor Wembanyama?
I remember, yeah. I had him in my sleeper Suns pod league, and that's a keeper league. So in ballers last year, I had Jokic, and you had Wemby, and you were trying.
I wanted to trade because I loved him, and then unfortunately, Wemby went down, and there was my season gone. So I was like buyer beware having him again. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to take him. There's no way that I'm letting Victor Wembanyama slip to the 4th pick. Like, it just seems at that point.
And didn't that pay dividends?
Didn't it pay dividends to start off? An absolutely monumental game. This could be an MVP season for Wemby if the Spurs perform and get top 4 in the West, top 5. There could be a chorus for MVP for Victor Wembanyama down the line. Might be some early sports bet money already put on that by a certain
You've got to think you take positions and finishing positions out of the West and the East, which we know players. That's why they don't announce the MVP till the final start, basically.
Yeah.
You've got to think the league wants Wendy to win an MVP. Like there's certain players where you just know through the press, National Gallery, whatever you want to call them, and who the NBA wants to be successful. And I honestly think the next two guys there are Wemby and Luka. That the NBA just wants one of these two guys to win the MVP.
Could not agree more. I think so far these two guys are the what do you say? They're the coup de grace of the young talent that's out there, and they definitely want to promote that young talent. And I think it's their time soon. And because I don't think they're going to, I mean, SGA is right up there and Edwards is up there in that kind of list, but I don't think the league just wants to put on consistent like Jokic MVPs for the next 5 years. It's getting tired, even though he's well worth it. So that's a different thing. This guy didn't look tired.
Before we move on from Wemby, because when you led the show with Taco League, this is where I wanted to take the Wemby.
I said someone said it was Taco League, and that's fair enough. They can have their like. It's just never been more over than like for me when people say that because some guy takes some player that they love early. It becomes a Taco League. I defended it adamantly that this is a true friends and family league. And if you want your guy, like you said, in our league, you need to take your guy. Shaden Sharp went early. Klingon went because he's a Trailblazers fan and he wants a couple of Trailblazers, but the rest of his picks were super smart. Like, fair enough. Play on.
I don't think I've actually got a single Suns player in this year's roster. I don't. Not a single Suns player.
Some Mark Williams action. No. God, he looked good.
No,
did he not look? Oh, he looked so good.
I wouldn't go that far, but
he looked in
where I wanted to go with Wemby was we're talking about where I drafted. I went straight for youth. I want the three rookies. I managed to get 1, 2, and 3 from the draft.
Yeah,
we're not going to talk much about Cooper Flagg. I don't think.
No,
but Cooper had a bad game, albeit a double-double. I think it was 10 and 10 and a steal, but. You think about rookies coming out in their first game, you're Cooper Flagg, and you might be playing point guard, you might be playing shooting guard, you might be playing small forward, you might even be playing power forward. Every time you go to the ring, you've got Wemby in front of you, and he's having a career night. He is unworldly on both ends. I didn't watch the game, but I watched the highlight reels back, and I watched all the Wemby players. Defensively and offensively, he was out of his freaking head, and you can imagine as a rookie running into that every single game, every single play rather. I mean, this is where people might go, "Oh, Cooper's flame out, whatever. He's overrated." First game against Wemby when he's having a career moment. This is why I thought the Wemby performance was more impactful to talk about rather than just what Wemby did, because eventually we expect this of him. But I think his impact on the number one pick in the draft, having a so-so 10, 10, and 1 game is, wait till Dallas play again and see what happens.
Yeah. Look, I'm not going to regret a guy who can put up a double-double and 3.5 blocks a night. His percentages, if he can get, my concern was always his field goal percentage and his free throw percentage compared to the Jokic. Jokic's night to night, 2 from 13. I have no idea what was going on in that bottle of drinking water. He thought, hey, let me shoot 13 3-pointers. This is a really good idea for us offensively to win the game, is let me shoot just a lot from out here. He was like around +4. Let's say he's a +400 shooter, near 5. He almost led the league in 3-point percentage recently. Like, he can hit them. But going 2 from 13 is not your vibe. It just, I don't know if the legs weren't there for Jokic or whatever it was. And then I'm looking at Wemby just taking people off the dribble and just, you know what? I'm so tall now. I've grown 2 inches. I might just finish it up with. I didn't actually know that he windmilled that dunk on the way to the rim. Because you can't tell because he's so close to the rim already. The action just looks like he's just putting it in. I just thought he picked up somebody's rubbish and put it down
because his head's in front of it.
It's just like, did he do something? Can you show me the other angle, please, Peacock, and switch it around? It was incredible. Look, the other guy on that night who had an absolutely otherworldly game was someone else who you picked up. You picked this guy up in the draft. It was
number 3 in the draft.
Number 3 in the draft. Number 1 in my heart. He was my favorite rookie. His speech about electricity in his home on draft night truly moved me. I wanted him in leagues. I did not get him in one. So you will be bombarded with trades. Every single time he went the pick that I was going to take him, and I love his motor. I think he is an exceptional player. My only concern is Paul George, more McCain minutes. when he comes back in, and that loses some of the shine. But he has played himself into being an absolute eyes-on, must-watch player. All-time NBA leading first quarter for a rookie. You were just smiling ear to ear, weren't you? You are just like you are right now. I can see it. That was exactly what you're doing when this game was on.
Well, look, we look at his preseason game against Minnesota too. An absolute stellar performance. So preseason warming up, the last game before the regular season, he had an absolute stellar game against Minnesota, and then he backed it up straight into Philly. Now, part of the reason the top three intrigued me was they're all getting starters minutes in the draft. And in all of my leagues, I tried to go for a combination of two of the three, whichever way they fell. And there's only one league I missed out completely because it was an auction draft, and just those things they're a nightmare. They're an absolute nightmare.
I love them. It's chaos, but it's a portion. An auction draft is a portion of your life you're never going to get back. You will sit in that dark room that you're in right there in Singapore for 2 hours and walk out the other side. Going, I just don't know what happened. She'll look at you. What happened, honey? You're like, don't want to talk about it. Like, what did you do? Like, I spent way too much on VJ Edgecombe. She's like, you bought a what? A hedge comb?
Look, you're probably going to give me some crap later on about Ace Bailey, but that's a wait and see for me, because the preseason reason I looked at both of these, that was just let's just get him and see what happens. But I was very impressed with Ace Bailey in the preseason. And Edgecomb's last game against Mitty was absolutely unbelievable. And then he goes in the first game here in Philly, where there's going to be minutes for him because of injury-prone players, minute restrictions. And they're in a unique position where they can still play for it all, but they also need to really get their youth activated. Call it the Tyrese Maxey effect if you like, because when he was younger in his role, he blew up pretty quick. Now, if this guy can blow up, and they've got Maxey and him blowing up at the same time, and look at today's numbers, he had, looking at the numbers, pretty similar game. Like Tyrese Maxey had a 40-point game, but Edgecombe versus Maxey, the two of them together, that's, Embiid was on his minutes restriction and did absolute bugger all as expected. So he looked at that was so tantalizing, that preseason game of Embiid, and then it didn't show, and the field goal percentage was down. It just wasn't what these guys just right. Like this backcourt is, and the thing I love about VJ as well is you might not see it on the stat sheet, but his deflections, the way that he reads the game, his genuine motor to be present on defense is incredible. Like, I don't think he's going to get that many shots a night. I don't think he plays that many minutes a night, and he's always not going to be a guy who's going to be like in such an incredible shooter. Like plus 500 for rookies is generally, for a shooting guard, small forward, unheard of. Like, that's just ridiculous. But that was an absolutely awesome display. But the fact that he was out there hustling on both ends of the court, trying to add in some steals and trying to get his way into some block lanes, and he read this guy is going to have defensive upside as well if he can put that together on that side of the game. Man, I love VJ, and I think that was an outstanding debut for him. Can't disagree, and I'm glad he's on my team.
And I can't wait to play you when you have him, and I'll cry myself to sleep at night. Hey, look, we're going to finish this up by doing a quick whip around the league in under 10 minutes. This is going to be 12 minutes. I'm going to cap this pod at like 40 minutes max. It's 28:45. Now, I'm going to touch through every single team in the NBA. We've got right here up there Yahoo roster rankings, so we can talk to anyone who we like that is unrostered in your leagues that we want to keep an eye on for minutes. Or if someone strikes out as an early buy low option, feel free to flag it. We're not going to do some sell highs and buy lows. This is just our takes immediately around the NBA. And right here, the only thing that sticks out for me was Dyson Daniels the other day. An underwhelming performance for what people would have drafted him on there. He is rostered across the league. 4 points isn't going to get it done. The three, this is just not.
He went high too. He went high.
So he is just an early buy low option for me. An amazing game for Jalen Johnson. Almost came back to me here. I was rubbing my hands together. Jay and Silent Matt had the first pick in the draft. He went in the second round, and I was hoping and praying he would come back to me in that third round at the turn. But no, he jumped on him very early. Kristaps looked engaged and fine here. The only one we can really monitor here is Nickeil Alexander-Walker in Atlanta, I would say. Boston, anyone standing out for you early season for these guys?
Well, look, I've got Jaylen Brown in one of my leagues, and it was basically just I was looking for the upside of not having Tatum there. It's always been the two guys. So without Kristaps around anymore, obviously center position's changed. He's the one championship player that's really able to take the crown. So I just thought the upside there was the best. I actually have over here in Singapore one of my expat mates, Big G. He'll never watch this, but shout out. He was big on Peyton Pritchard in the offseason and what Pritchard could be for this team. He doesn't think Simmons will be around, and that's the guy that has a Boston guy. He's from Boston, and he loves the Celtics. His guy he's watching this year is Pritchard.
And me too. Look, I've got him in many leagues. I didn't pick him up in this one because Steve St. Pierre actually sniped him, telling me, I know I'm not going to let you get Pritchard back. And he did it. Now, this is kind of underwhelming for him to start the season. Our eyes are on him. Cater here, no assists, no steals, and no blocks here, but a very impressive 17 points and 8 rebounds to start off in 25 minutes from the game. If he can put together some of those other stats, he is available as well in 77% of leagues. So he is around there. Keep your eye on it, especially as a big man streamer in Brooklyn. I am just not touching anyone. And you can see why, not even in our league. Anyone is touching. The one guy that I do want to say is only 18%. Didn't look really comfortable on the board. And I loved his demean, is how I should be saying it. Igor. Igor. It sounds like your favorite horror guy here. Look, the field goal percentage, 660, not going to happen all the time. Didn't take a lot of shots, only 6 attempts, but 14 points, 4 threes. Knocking those down. It was impressive.
In our Suns podcast league with all the Americans, this guy went off the board pretty quickly in the first week of waivers. He was one of the first names that got picked up early off the waivers.
And you can see that his transaction trend is up around that way. His league availability, he is available in a couple of leagues. This is in high school. They just randomly threw me into. But he has come off. He went at 122nd to Steve St. Pierre. He was on him very, very early. He is poised to be running the guard. And it was really interesting. He did not start at point guard. Saraf did, and then was pulled. Only played 20 minutes, and you can see their ego getting 22. So I'm just watching that minutes trend there for the Brooklyn Nets, and definitely someone on our waiver wires. Can I just say I am loving the fact that the Charlotte Hornets are back. They looked so fun the other day. For me right now,
finally healthy.
Finally healthy. LaMelo Ball, that was a lot of fun. Brandon Miller looking outstanding. Just look, I should just add Kalkbrenner now because I like him so much.
You're just going to work through your fantasy roster while we're
going to work through my. This is my. Like, who do I drop here? I picked up Jonathan Camille while we're live on the pod. I might as well do it. Back it up. I've got Musa Diabate. I just love. I've got the outs. Oh geez, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to take Musa, aren't I? I'm going to have to lose Moose for Kalkbrenner. Yep, there we go. At least it's a starter. Oh, bloody hell. I'm going to have to do that. I've got to take him out of IL because he's been there and he's healthy now. I had him in advance. That's how much I like the guy. Look, I love these guys.
Right. You can do that after this pod. At least it's not live. So
yeah, there you go. I'll get
no one else is going to steal him.
And look, I'm loving it. Colin Sexton doing Colin Sexton things, only 27, but 16% rostered for Kalkbrenner. If he can average double-double for his career, he's one of those kind of guys. And I absolutely loved it. 10 points, 11 rebounds, 2 block shots. Him and Musa Diabate, the minute split here, absolutely fine with it. Kalkbrenner getting 27. Anyone else from the Charlotte Hornets that you were intrigued by?
Oh, look, I've got Canoopel in a couple of leagues as well. That was that was a very late. I did not reach it all for him. It was like last pick and whatever, throw it in. Let's see if he goes. But it's hard to pick anyone in the Charlotte side because health reasons, you just know what's going to happen. Outside of LaMelo and Brandon Miller, it's really hard to predict what happens there. Their front office is unpredictable as hell. As a Phoenix Suns fan that's been on the receiving and giving end of God knows how many trades back and forth with this team. Because we've got 2 starting centers that were the 2 starting centers of Charlotte last year.
You did.
It just seemed, it felt like in the off season Charlotte was the only team that would do business with the Suns.
It really does. And it's like, hey, would you like another center? Sure, sign me up.
Why not? We've only got 5.
We've already got. We're going to draft Malawaj. We're going to draft him. Let's just bring the other bloke over as
We're
well.
going to start
Hey,
Iguodala over Mark Williams,
yeah, and then we'll start
and
Iguodala,
then
which
not
is
play
going to
Nick
love.
Richards at all.
That's just fantastic. I loved it. Hey, in Chicago, Dosunmu, Jones, and Huerta all worth a look, especially on your waiver wires here with Trey Jones and Dosunmu, especially with the current injury to Kobe White, guys, that we have on our radar. Cleveland, look, a really good game the other day versus the Knicks. Darius Garland is out in stash. DeAndre Hunter hasn't played yet. He is only taken in 21% of leagues. He is currently forecast to question on Friday. This is a guy you sweep in with. If he is available in your league, he is probably my number one target here. Anyone else for you in Cleveland?
I'll talk about the biggest disappointment is Jared Allen. I've got him in my podcast lead with the Suns Fantasy Potters, and his game was an absolute disappointment. And I've got too many centers in that team, so I've benched him for the week, and I've already locked up in sleeper most of my positions. So he's not even getting a look for another 3 games.
I'm telling you, man, he was one guy who I love Allen, but I was down on him this year, and I have not touched him anywhere. I'm sad to see that you have, and you should package him in a trade. Is my advice. If it was, what should I do with Allen? I might put him in a trade. Just put him in a trade and see what comes. PJ Washington, great game the other day. Again, he is a free agent in many leagues. And again, people, why are these guys? Why are you saying to add if you haven't got them in your own league? This is a 10-person league. We have short rosters and IR spots deep, so we can bring people in. But the IL means that if they go there for the game, you've got to add them back. It's a very competitive league, and there's a lot of churning around already. PJ Washington is the only free agent here that I'm really looking for. And again, Klay Thompson just filling in. No one else in Dallas that comes to your mind?
No, and again, what I talked about before with the Wemby comments, this was a career game for Wemby where nothing was going against him. The points in a points league, in a Cats league, they were going up against the devil here. So you can't really look at the box scores on these players after 1 or 2 games in first round and be too hard on them, I don't think.
Absolutely. Hey, look, in the Denver Nuggets, the only guys here we're going to keep our eyes on here is buy lows on Christian Brown and Cam Johnson. Underwhelming performances day one. Valanciunas in deep leagues, only 12% rostered. Already probably did more as a backup center in the Denver Nuggets than DeAndre Jordan has in the past 3 years of his contract there. And Tim Hardaway Jr., who you can see all the way down the bottom here, only 3% rostered, doing what Tim Hardaway Jr. does. Just shoot some 3-pointers, Tim. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, look, I've got Cam Johnson in a keeper league. It was an auction draft keeper league, and the only reason I kept him was because I had him for $3. So it's like, new team, new environment. Let's see what he fits in with the absence of Michael Porter Jr. You thought there'd be some pretty good opportunity there. His strength is threes. Aaron Gordon found him today in the corner for a nice easy 3. So let's see if he develops more of that consistency. I don't think he's going to do too much more though. But yeah, $3 for a keeper league auction draft, sure.
Isaiah Stewart, Ron Holland II. These guys impressed for Detroit the other day, mate. And Detroit looked good. Kate Cunningham, not a great first half, turned it around in the second half. Could have been a hell of a lot better. They could have got the win out of the way with this one. But almost a triple-double every single night. Turnovers were down. But Holland and Isaiah Stewart put themselves on radars for me.
Yeah, look, again, I haven't watched this game. And I had Ivy in one of my leagues in the injured spot, and I've already tossed him because I picked up Keyshawn George in replacement. I thought that was a great swap off for the waiver wire.
I love that.
I haven't put any effort into this or watched this team other than Cade has been climbing fantasy draft, so he needs to hit numbers at the minimum like this for where he was being drafted.
100%. Look, here, Jonathan Kuminga swooped in, picked him up. He's been performing well. Got the start the other day. Pods, 43% rostered. Buddy Hield, I think, is a really wonderful streaming target. And Big Al Horford, a bit of a bounce-back game for Big Al today. He is only 12% rostered leagues and will not play the back-to-back. But after a disappointing game the other day, 13, 3, 2, a steal, and a block. This is a much better line and what we were expecting for Big Al Horford. And we can bring him in for games. If there's like 3 games in 5 nights for the Warriors, this is someone who we should look to stream to pick up that power forward and center minutes, mate.
Yeah, I'm on the other side on it. I'm still not sold
Yeah.
on where he fits and how consistent he'll be.
Right.
And same as Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield's a live wire. He can shoot, he can
He's
fire off at any time, but he's not that guy that's. And I've looked at Buddy several times in the drafts. I just went, he's just not consistent enough. He doesn't do enough to really intrigue me. But I'm sure you pick him up on the waiver wire and you sit him on the end of your bench to fill a spot in a roster 1 week, will give you what you need. You know?
Man, I'm right there with you. Again, it's what you need. Like, this is what the guys who pick up, like rebounds. To get 13 rebounds in a game, not an easy feat. But Steven Adams can just walk in and apparently just devour 13 rebounds any game that he wants. 37 minutes was huge for this bloke. I didn't see 37 minutes for Steven Adams.
It was double overtime. It was double overtime. So,
but they still wheeled him out there. Clint Capella only played like 8 minutes?
He's not that old though. The guy's still young, technically.
And they're rolling out like lineups with 42 minutes of Jabari Smith Jr. as well. Like it was insane.
Look, they had Jabari Smith Jr. playing at shooting guard at one point.
Yep.
It was incredible the lineup they had out there. And look, to be honest, like Steven Adams, and year after year after year, has been waiver wire center. You pick him up, you get a bunch of rebounds in very few minutes. So seeing what we did with this amount of minutes and having them start him, I thought this was an amazing switch up in this guy's career. It was like showing that he's providing actual fantasy value this year rather than I just need some rebounds and he's already on the waiver wire. I mean, there's going to be situations where this guy's not on the waiver wire this year.
And I agree. And this is guys as well, like around the same ownership. I drafted Tara Eason. I know I didn't panic after the first one.
You kept telling me take him. I'm just like, no, it's Houston's too crowded. I just can't bank on him.
Not a good first game. Just for a bounce back game, I needed the stream spot, so I dropped him and I'll pick him up again, or someone will claim him. I'm sure of it. But other guys in the team we can look at: Jabari Smith Jr., Reed Shepherd, both on 41 and 38%. This one, Steven Adams as a stream option is someone as well. I'm going to whip through these really quickly. In Indiana, very down minutes for old mate Isaac Jackson. People were very high on. I think him and Jay Huff in that minute split rotation is very interesting. Obi Toppin for me, the round start line for him today was fantastic. I'm putting him on my radar in the Pacers and picking him up. The Clippers, absolutely horrible game the other day, but it was very good to see Lopez getting 17 minutes, no blocks there, but 5 threes from him, just standing out there as a sniper, taking 12 shots in that runaway defeat. Didn't see them losing quite as badly to the Utah Jazz. Did you?
No, I did not see that coming. But I've also, I just want to get your opinion on something on Kawhi.
Yeah.
Is he cooked?
Yeah.
Injuries aside, with everything going on with Kawhi, with all the media around, no one can interview him, no one can talk to him. He chooses when he plays, he chooses when he shows up to practice, and he comes out apparently healthy, apparently the centerpiece of this organization, with all the controversy around, how he was paid and the corrupt or defunct companies he was paid through, and he delivers this stat line in his first game. I am off. I
like Kawhi. I was very surprised to see this poorly for him in the first game. He is, look, Ty Lue put it on him. He said, this is my shit. Like he blamed himself. He threw himself under the bus here. The only thing that I really got caught up in this one, John Collins. Another nice John Collins line, just does what John Collins does. Now, he is taken in most areas. I like that for John Collins, and he will be a big beneficiary if Kawhi Leonard is ever out. So if he does slip down these rankings, if he dips, whenever that is the case, which it will do at some point for John Collins, mind you. It always is the way. The to and fro of Collins.
Even in the current lineup, he's going to get you your basic stats that it's worth having on the roster, and he will play up and can play up well.
Yeah, I'm really in for that for him, 100% all of the way. The Lakers, not touching anyone there with a 10-foot pole. The only big nose is do not be alarmed quite yet by DeAndre Ayton. I know that you're not the biggest Ayton fan.
I'm the furthest thing from an Ayton fan.
I know you are the furthest thing from an Ayton fan, but I am still an Ayton, hoper. Not a truther, but I hope for good things for him. He's really good.
That's all I've got.
He's available. This is the big thing for me. ILIR spots. Zach Edey is only 36% rostered in leagues. I cannot believe that. He should be put into your IR or IL straight away. If you were right there and you have unfilled IR or IL spots, just do yourself a favor right now and pick up Zach Edey and just place him straight on in there. The other guy, Jalen Wells, getting some time for me. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, not a bad effort the other day. The field goal percentage could surely the heck come up, and some more defensive stats from him, because that's what we look for with him, especially.
I'm surprised so many people are low on Santi.
Yeah,
great. First game wasn't that great, but the upside of his potential usage of potential minutes in that roster, to see him only 43% roster is a surprise.
And again, this is the thing. We're seeing them like down this. Where I expected to see him more rostered. I think people will drop him over time because of this 7-4 line. And when that's the case, or it's a buy low target, I think he'll do a lot better than that. So we look to move on him and get him into our teams. I had a crazy offer. Someone tried to trade me Jovic and Reed Shepherd for DeAndre Ayton. I'm like, no, I'm not drinking. I'm not sipping the Kool-Aid. I'm not out on that whatsoever. But the one guy who had an exceptional line the other day is still only 36% rostered is Davion Mitchell. I have picked him up immediately. The amount of assists and steals this guy can get you is absolutely phenomenal. Definitely looking to pick him up on waiver wires across the way, Nate. In the Milwaukee Bucks, right here, it is Ryan Rollins time. Only 4% rostered in Yahoo leagues. Currently down here, he got the start in the second half with Kevin Porter Jr. going down. Bobby Portis, an underwhelming game for him, 36% rostered. He's been dropped off, as you can see here, from someone in our league as well. Gary Trent Jr., the real hero here, only 11% rostered. Looking to pick up Gary Trent Jr. In our leagues, especially as a streaming option. Very viable pick right there. In Minnesota, I'm streaming through these, Nate. Stop me if you don't like any of these blokes. There is no one there that is pretty much not rostered in your league apart from Dante DiVincenzo. An underwhelming first game, only 20 minutes for him for the Timberwolves, which I found was interesting. Keep your eye on where he goes and pick him up along the way. You know me, man. I was a big fan of Dante in the preseason. Mm-hmm. We've got Jeremiah Fears here, 17 points to start off the rookie, and Sadiq Bey. Mate, it was good. Sadiq Bey looked really crisp. Did you manage to catch any of the Pels game?
I did not, no.
He looked really sharp after basically missing last season out. They lent on him very heavily. I'm definitely putting my eyes on Sadiq Bey and Jeremiah Fears. And Misi here. Derek Queen getting a few minutes just here in the game, 15. But with Misi being a game time decision and Markovic also being out, the rookie could have to step up. You might get another rookie, Nate. You might get a queen in your room.
I don't need any more. I'm good.
Just get another rookie. Just put someone on IR. Drop this in another rookie. Just bring him in. Why not? It's the all-rookie first team. Mitch Robinson set out the first game and has been dropped down now. Only 8% rostered in Yahoo. When he returns, he will be an absolute shout. Miles McBride starting to move off the waivers here. 4% rostered and a nice opening night for him for the New York Knickerbockers. Oklahoma City Thunder. It goes without saying that AJ Mitchell is currently the guy. Now, didn't bring him in today. People were unsure of what to do with him. Again, this is a very stacked league, but the points today, everything, a phenomenal game for him. And Chet Holmgren, just looking real good. Looking real good for you. And you're the owner of him as well.
Yeah, that was I've never had Chet in a league before. And after last season, I thought when we were drafting and he was available, I was like, that's a no-brainer. For where we're at in the league at that pick, I think it was pick 3. It was just a no-brainer.
Here we go. You took him in the 4th round, 33rd overall, and absolutely pleased as punch with that one, to be fair. The one thing that has stood out for me with him is not playing well. It's the no block shots. Didn't see that. Generally speaking, a little bit close. But again, with him playing the power forward spot, he is further away from the rim than Hartenstein. And hopefully he gets back on track with that very, very soon. Jalen Williams out currently as well. Orlando, nothing here apart from Wendell Carter Jr. Look, underwhelming first game, 9 and 8, got the block. He'll be a great fill-in center along the way. Nothing really to worry about with Tyus Jones. His time in the sun on what we hoped for him last season.
Suggs is worth. I'd like your opinion on Suggs because obviously with the injury last season, games played, he was the biggest risk reward player because I picked him up on one team and I've sat him in the bench there. Where do you see him?
I see him as a fine asset. Look, I like Jalen Suggs a lot. The amount of injuries, I was buyer beware. And I think there was other point guards that can do what he does. around the same zone that were healthier. And that's the only reason I didn't take him in a draft. But I like Suggs a lot, and we saw him being exceptional value last year across the leagues. In Philadelphia, there is a lot of potential room across the way with Quentin Grimes getting a little bit of burn off the bench here. Adam Bonner, not really doing a lot off the bench in the absence of Joel Embiid the other day. Let's look for him very, very soon. VJ Edgecombe obviously being the thing, and I can't believe it. VJ Edgecombe, only 54% rostered, mate.
Well, that will change as of tomorrow.
If he does anything even remotely close to that, you can watch that absolutely shoot on up the radar. In Phoenix here, the big impressive thing for me the other day was Mark Williams getting out and actually playing the 24 minutes, meeting his minutes gap. 3 from 5 was fine. I love the 11 rebounds and the 2 blocks in that amount of time frame. For me, that's a really interesting watch situation. I'm eyeing that. But are you loving 24 shots in your team for Dylan Brooks?
Look, that's going to change as soon as Jalen Green comes back. The thing that Phoenix loves about Dylan Brooks is not the ability to not care when to throw a shot up and just throw up absolutely everything whenever you want. It's the dog. We've been missing some gristle, and he definitely brings some intensity. But for me, the one player on the Suns that I think is worth a fantasy watch is Ryan Dunn. Now, he got the start yesterday. The Suns community was actually in the post-game pods that I was listening to, and some of the guys from the American pods, especially on Suns Jam with Lissy and Voida, they were not loving on Ryan Dunn's performance given that he got the start. But look at the stat line, and you think that's a sophomore player that just got a start in the first game of the season. They are weak at power forward and log-jammed at center. So I think there's a lot of opportunity this season for Ryan Dunn to get minutes. And if he starts to get more confident in a starting position, which he hasn't been essentially used to when it mattered, I think there's a lot of upside there. If you see where he goes through the season.
Yeah, look, this is again, as you said, for his performance the other day. You almost take a double-double off a guy in 25 minutes. I mean, if he hit a couple more shots over his free throws, he's pretty much got himself a double-double right there in 25 minutes. Not an easy thing to do. And so definitely someone to watch on the Phoenix Suns lineup. In Portland, they're playing really well. The big guy here was Jeremy Grant, still only 24% rostered. This is what he will do. He was picked up straight away on many rosters, absolutely nearly immediately. And you can see here that the easy new school, then beaten by the easy beats, taking these guys here. Great pickup from Drew Holiday and Donovan Clingan, but we can look to pick up Grant, only 24% rostered, especially on any Trailblazers back-to-backs in your leagues. Sacramento, an absolute shit show, as always, in Sacramento.
Of a team. Any team that starts Drew Eubanks at center should be just sent home or relegated or whatever they do with shitty teams in the NBA.
There you go. Drew Eubanks, their starting center.
Personal opinion there.
I am not looking for anyone on this roster whatsoever. I think I considered Russell Westbrook in a deep league, so I needed assist. I'm like, yeah, I can do better, man. I'm okay. Hey, look, Keldon Johnson here. I like the 25 minutes tonight for him. Harrison Barnes, underwhelming in the 30. But the Keldon Johnson minutes, I like that, especially with De'Aaron Fox out. He's running a little bit of the point there as well. Looked really loose with it. And Devin Vassell, big fan of here. But Stephen Castle, only 53% rostered, is definitely one to keep our eyes on. Love
Absolutely. And Keldon Johnson is someone that has been down in fantasy for years, at least the last 3 years. There's less rigor to take him year on year as the rest of the team develops around him. But every time you watch his performance remains consistent. So I still think if he's on a waiver, he's absolutely worth it, because they just in San Antonio, they just find a way to work him into rotation, and he keeps producing.
Yeah, and he keeps on doing it year after year, and he's a nice little low-key waiver guy who's readily available in most leagues. Look, Grady Dick, the Raptors just looked impressive the other day. Let's just call it how it was. They were impressive. Jamal Sheed is someone we can get in for point guard minutes, 100%. And Grady Dick in his 24 minutes was absolutely impressive. He's not always going to shoot like that, but that was a lights-out performance from him, mate. Oh, that was a big sneeze. That was a big sneeze. That means something's coming up nearby. It means we're almost at maybe the Washington Wizards. Maybe I'm getting allergic very close as the nearer we get down to them. Look, Filipowski, Senzabar, Hendricks, the bench mob of Utah was in full effect the other night in their big cleanup win over the Los Angeles Clippers. And in Washington, You said you went and got him. You know that I picked him up. Kaishon George, mate. This is someone who we absolutely loved on draft day. And there's other fringe benefits where, like guys like Trey Johnson, Cam Whitmore. We could get a little bit of juice out of Washington last minute, and especially.
Yeah, look, I took flyers on Cam Whitmore and Chris Middleton at the back of one of my teams, and I did pick up, like I said earlier, Keyshawn George for the Detroit guard. I'm having a mental blank. Yesterday, Jaden Ivey. Right. I took Keyshawn George for Jaden Ivey. It was this morning or yesterday, and you were right. Should have picked him up in our league right at the end there. Looks the goods. Cam Whitmore and Chris Middleton, I am going to keep one. At this point, Chris Middleton's performing. He's obviously getting the minutes. The preseason upside was that Whitmore will see more minutes and we'll see a continued escalation of what he brings to the team. We'll see. After game one, it's give me a longer bias. No recency bias.
You have to go. Look, I like him a lot. I'm glad people are starting to speak the truth of him, and he is available in leagues, as you can see. Make sure you go and check out your waiver wire for any of these pickups and options. But again, when a guy's just sitting there like Middleton at 23%, George is at 33%, that means there's a lot of guys you can pick up in your team here. The fact that Alex Sarr, for some reason, even possibly in 10 teams, isn't rostered at that massive amount of he's 92%. I would expect him to be 100% rostered guy. So even in your show leagues, make sure you're looking to grab him. This has been the take. Like and subscribe. I am
oversold though.
You don't like that.
I think he was going two rounds ahead of where he's worth.
This is my best mate day. Get on to all the things, mate. You take care and we'll speak to you soon.
All right.